Welcome to the Overcoming Mediocrity podcast, where today's top influencers and entrepreneurs on the rise share empowering stories and ninja tips to become the fuel that ignites a positive change in your life. Our guests don't simply coast through life. They don't let difficult situations stop them. They set big goals, keep their eyes on the prize, and they're joining us today to share insider secrets you can use right now to step into your power and live your purpose. Now, here's your host, Christy Ruffino.
Well, hello and welcome to the Overcoming Mediocrity podcast. I am Christy Ruffino, the host of the show, and I am excited to be chatting with today's guest, Kim Speed. Welcome, Kim.
Hi, Christy. So great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. So we are in a community together, and I love what you do. I've seen some of the clients you've worked with, and I just really love your mission. And you are a branding expert. I'm going to go ahead and read your bio, just so people kind of have an idea of your credibility, like who you are and what you've accomplished. So Kim Speed is a brand visibility expert, a business mentor, speaker, trainer, and author. During her years in the corporate world, Kim was a creative director for some of the biggest global brands, including Coca-Cola, TB Bank, Ford, and Molson Coors. After leaving the world of advertising, Kim started her own business. And I love your story as to why that happened. But her business is Purple Moon Creative Brand and Marketing Boutique, where she helps budding and building entrepreneurs create brands that stand out and attract clients. I love the budding and building, the new entrepreneurs that jump into business and have no idea how to create an impactful brand, and the ones that already have started and they have a brand, but it's not necessarily helping them, attract clients and the right clients. So how I always like to start with your story. Like, I know your story. I kind of read a little bit about that, but tell the audience, what was the catalyst that transitioned you to become an entrepreneur in this space?
I would love to share this, Christy. So in the last recession that we had in 2008, 2009, I was working in advertising. I was a creative director, and we lost a huge client. It was almost overnight. And within that time frame, we couldn't sustain our numbers. And so they had to lay a whole bunch of us off. I was one of them. And I found myself without a job. I just assumed, Christy, that I was going to go and find another job. I never considered being an entrepreneur. I never grew up thinking I want to have my own business. That wasn't something that was ever on my mind. And actually, I didn't really even probably know what an entrepreneur was. But during the time of going home and putting all my papers together and references and resumes and connecting with people, I also got to spend a lot of time with my family. And I had my daughters were younger, and I had two daughters at home. And it was really interesting because I got to actually spend time with them like I'd never before, walking them to school, picking them up, having their friends over, taking them to activities, and then also to have time to, spend time with my mom and my friends, and, all of this stuff that I just never even dreamt would be wonderful. And so all of a sudden I had this, I don't want to go back to the corporate world. I don't want to be missing all of this. And I realized what was really important in my life, Christy, and that was my family. And, having 5 minutes in the morning and, half an hour at night was just not going to be enough. But of course, I knew that I still needed to make money. I just needed to figure out how I was going to do that. And so without a plan, without a real plan, I actually jumped in with both feet and said, I'm going to do this. And I, had to figure it out. I used, in the beginning, it wasn't too bad because I used my network and people were hiring me. But, there was still a lot of struggle because I didn't have a plan. So I finally, put the little white flag up and said, oh my gosh, as much as I love this, I'm not doing well. I need help. And if I hadn't have done that, if I hadn't have, admitted that this wasn't a perfect scenario, and reached out to people, I would have been back at a job. And thankfully, I was able to find some people that helped me out and directed me and guided me so that I could build a business that was successful and help people, help other people. So that was 12 years ago.
Wow. So you had no plan, but you had purpose, and then you had people that helped you. I love that. 12 years ago. Holy cow. And I'm sure you've learned a lot along the way. But I think sometimes when I see this all the time. I mean, of course, that is one of the things that I love doing is helping women share their stories. And when we're in the middle of something challenging, the destruction, right? Like the chaos in our lives, the problems, they seem overwhelming. But if we keep moving forward and our why is big enough, eventually we'll get to the time in our life where we'll be able to look back and realize that was probably one of the best things that happened for us, because you didn't really know what you were missing because your life was so intertwined in your career, which is important. But in the meantime, you're missing, right? You're missing out on track. You're missing out on the school stuff. And once you had a taste of that, you made a decision that I'm not going to give this up now.
Yeah, it's so true. I didn't know what I didn't know.
Right.
I didn't know what was going on in my life that I could be part of. And I really, now I call it was my gift. It was an opportunity to have a change. And I think it was meant to be. It was meant to be.
Yep. Absolutely. And now you are following your purpose and you are helping entrepreneurs just get super clear about what their brand needs to communicate in the world. So I know there's a couple things that you specialize in. So if you don't mind, can we hang on until we'll take a quick break, and then we're going to come back and then we're going to dive into some really great strategies that you're going to share with our audience. Is that great?
Fantastic.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Hold on. Hang tight. We'll be right back. I know. You hear us asking you to subscribe, rate, and review, but what does that really mean? Is it really that important? Well, if other podcast hosts are anything like me, they've put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into their show. And personally, I get really discouraged when I have something great to share and no one is listening. Beyond algorithms, ratings and reviews are critical for a show's sustainability. It goes way beyond fanning the flames of our egos, or by getting a little "that a girl" pat on the back. Reviews create social proof and prove that our show has an engaged and loyal following. So, if you like our show, please take a moment to subscribe, rate, and review. And while you're at it, pick up one of our Overcoming Mediocrity books on Amazon. You'll be glad that you did. Well, welcome back, everybody. Christy and Kim here, and we are talking about the topic of branding and a brand. And I know there's a difference, right? There's a difference between your brand and branding. So can you share a little bit about what that is? Because for me, it seems like the same thing, but for you,
and a lot of people use it interchangeably, and that's fine. But I like to differentiate it because it really is two different things. Your brand is who you are. It's what you stand for, and it's really what people think about you. So your brand is nothing except what people are saying and thinking about you. It's if you want to define it, your brand is actually your reputation.
That's good.
So yeah, if you actually replace the word brand in a sentence with the word reputation, I think people would really understand how important it is to cultivate and nurture your brand, because it is your reputation. It is what people are thinking about you. It is what people are, how they perceive you. And you can't put thoughts in their mind, or you can't make them think what you want, but you can guide them. And that's what a brand does. A brand helps people to understand who you are, your values, what kind of community you are, and do they want to belong? Do they feel comfortable with you? So that is what a brand is. The brand is
And
the
it's more than
foundation.
visual, right? It's more than just the visualness of what your reputation is, right? It's also the message, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean about, so that your brand is who you are and what you stand for. It's all of it's the internal stuff that people think and feel about you. Whereas your branding is all of the things that help you communicate what your brand is.
Oh.
And that includes the visuals, the logo, the colors, the fonts, what does your website look like, the messaging, your signage, your packaging, all of the things that people see and hear that allow them to know who you are, to get an impression of who you are, and know if you're the one that they want to hear more from.
Right.
That's what your branding is. So your brand is the essence of who you are. It's sort of that something that you don't see, but it's what people think, feel, and talk about you.
Yeah.
And your branding is how you help them understand that through visual cues and visual sound, messaging, all of that.
Okay. Well, how do you work with a client to help them kind of uncover what their brand is? Because I know, as entrepreneurs, sometimes we just want to be everything to everybody. But on the flip side, if we can be more unique, more distinctive, maybe even more polarizing, what that's going to do is it's going to just attract the people that we really can serve the best. So how do you help people figure that out?
Yeah, so I have a really great process that I go through with my clients, and it's quite intensive. It's, a couple of half days that I usually work with, where we really dig deep into the things that are important to them. What are they doing? Why are they doing it? How it helps people? Who does it help? And are they looking for it? And how are you, showing up in front of them? So we really sort of peel back everything to get into those golden nuggets, is what I call them, that secret sauce of yours.
Love that.
And it's interesting because when I work with people, a lot of times they don't think they have anything interesting or unique or special about themselves. And that's one of my, I guess, superpowers, is I'm able to get in there and go, oh my gosh, this is a really great thing that you do. And they're like, oh, really? And then be able to play up on that and make you unique and stand out using those special things that you take for granted.
Yeah. Yeah. Because honestly, one of the key things that you said earlier is about your community, right? Building your tribe. And as a powerful brand, where our goal should be is to kind of create a loyal following, not just a one-off transaction, not somebody that just sees you and says, oh, yeah, I like her, maybe I'll work with her, but somebody that is going to really be a loyal client that wants to kind of stay connected with you. And it's hard to build a tribe or community unless people have something to follow.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And it's sort of interesting. One of the things I say that brand does is, imagine you're standing in the middle of Times Square, New York, and you see signs everywhere, right? And, flashing lights, camera action all around. What your brain actually is doing for you is it's sorting out what is relevant and what it can put aside. And so that your brain doesn't explode, because you can't take in everything.
That's our
And
reticular activating system, right?
yes,
Yeah.
it's just crazy. So it's a survival mechanism for you to choose what's important and what you need to pay attention to. That's exactly what branding helps people do
Oh, I love
with
that.
your
I never thought
business.
about that. I know there's a great, the little example or analogy about that process is, there's a million white cars out there on the street, but you don't even pay attention to the white cars until you're looking to buy a white car. And now you notice every white car out there, or you're looking to buy a Mercedes and now you see every Mercedes out there. And so that I
Yeah,
really love that in relationship to your brand, because if we're not able to become that thing, right?
yeah,
We're not going to be seen by anybody. And we just kind of end up by getting lost in the shuffle. So I love that. That's really important to be able to pull out that uniqueness, one uniqueness in us, or the uniqueness about what our brand represents. So then we do get seen by the people whose reticular activating system now is in key with what it is that we're trying to be or become with our brand.
right, right. And it's really like, so you really need to understand who you are, and you need to understand who your audience is. And that's why it's so important. We talk about this all the time, that you can't have everybody as your ideal client. And I still get people that, are afraid to say
So one
that.
of the biggest challenges.
Yes. And I always say to people, we need to narrow down and work with one specific audience. If you decide that it's not the one you want, it doesn't mean you have to have them forever, but you need to speak to somebody. If you're not speaking to a specific audience, a specific person, then you're speaking like Charlie Brown's teacher. Wah, 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 wah.
Yes, that is so true. That is so true. So, okay, we've identified our uniqueness, right? What it is that we want to represent. What's the next step?
So once you have a clarity on what is unique about you, and you have clarity on who you want to work with, who do you help, really digging into finding out what is their problem and how are you able to solve that, so that we can come up with a clear, simple message that speaks to them right away and lets them know you are the one that can help them. So it's one thing to know who you are, and it's one thing to know who your target audience is and how you help them. Then you have to be able to articulate that in a sentence and, or a short statement, so that you can, if you meet them, be able to speak it. You can put it on your website so that people can see it right away and they can identify, oh, this is me. People want to know that this is for them. And you want to also detract anyone that it's not for,
right.
So that you're not wasting time.
Yes. Polarizing is good. I know I was at a conference once where somebody gave a really great representation of why to be polarizing with her brand. And at the time I'm just like, oh, well, I don't want to offend anybody. I don't want to turn anybody away. I need clients. Why would I want to turn away clients? But what happens is if we bring in that client that isn't the right client for us, they tend to be a problem and we can't get them the results. And so they're not happy and we feel bad. They feel bad. And why go through that?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's just such a waste of time when you could be helping somebody that is going to value you and you can help.
So when is the best time to develop your brand? When we kind of get some money in our bank, we get clients, we're rolling, or when do we do this?
So great question, Christy, because I want to make sure that everybody understands that as soon as you hang out a shingle saying you're in business, you've actually created a brand. So it's not whether or not you start developing a brand. It's started already. It's whether or not you cultivate and nurture it so that it actually works for you. Or you can just sort of push it aside and say, I'll do that later. But then that gives fair game to any of your competition to brand for you. And usually that doesn't work out as well for you. So it's not something that I want everybody to rush in and be doing, spending tons of money on right away. I want people to be aware of it and understand it so that they can at least be cognizant of some things that they can do.
Right. Because you don't want to have to redefine your brand. Why not do it right from the beginning?
Exactly.
And then we have clarity. Then we're like moving forward in a straight path instead of like this wandering, which I see happen a lot with clients, is they're just not like, they're not moving forward with purpose. They're
Exactly.
trying things, they're testing things, and it's just end up by costing them more money. Yeah. All right. Well, so this is good. Let's see, what other questions do I have about branding? Like, I don't know, what other tips do you feel that would be essential for our audience to know about this topic?
So one of the things that I like to talk about is creating a true brand. When I work with clients, I say we need to create a true brand. And that means that it's truthful and relevant or truthful and authentic to who you are, so that you're not trying to imitate somebody else. It's relevant to a specific audience. It's unique and different. And it's also providing an engaging experience. So we haven't talked about that part, an engaging experience. Once you understand who your audience is and the types of problems they have, you can then create experiences and engage with them in a way that is going to bring them joy, happiness, satisfaction, give them that feeling of, you know what, I belong here. So the experience part is how you actually are going to build what I call your loyal raving fans. And if you can do that, if you can let people know who you, what you do, who you serve, how you can help, and then provide them with an experience that makes them so happy, then you have created a sales team that works for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for free.
Your brand advocates.
Yes. Yes. And this is so important. When people are out there and somebody asks them about, do you know anybody that does this service or sells this product, then your name, if they know about you and they've had a great experience, right away, your name comes up and they're happy to refer you.
Yeah. You know what? So I don't know if you know this or any of the audience, or I know some of them do, but I started a women's networking organization 18 years ago. And it is about building a referral network, because in our business, we should not be out hustling clients all the time. We want to build a really good referral base or a referral network or this referral machine. But the problem that many people don't understand is if you don't become a good referring brand, people can't refer business to you. They don't know how. They don't understand what your core values are. They don't understand what you specialize in, or they're afraid to refer you because you're not representing your brand well. Yeah. And so if you don't have a really powerful brand that creates confidence and clarity about what you do, people are not going to send business your way. And that's a lot of missed opportunities.
Oh, so much so. So, and that's one of the things that I always like to say is I'm going to help people gain confidence to actually step into the spotlight, to their spotlight, so that they're going to be seen and heard and remembered by the right people.
Yeah, remembered. Right. Oh my gosh, this has been so juicy and very good. I know you have a free gift that you want to share with our audience, and I'm super excited to be able to have you offer that. You want to talk about what that is? And I know we're going to put the link in the show notes below, but give the audience a clue about what they have, what's in store for them.
Yes. So I am gifting your audience a free copy of my best-selling book, Branding on a Shoestring: How to Recreate Your Small Business Identity and Increase Sales in 83 Days or Less.
Ooh.
And Christy, really, this is perfect for people that are trying to create their first brand or rebrand or just make their brand better, because it takes people through the whole process that I do with my clients and allows them to do it for themselves so that they get some solid understanding of what their brand should be, especially if they're ready to go and start working with a branding person. So if they're going to get new logos or websites or anything like that, then this is perfect.
Well, thank you, Kim, for spending time with me today and giving such an amazing gift. I know I'm going to definitely download that, because I always need to keep making sure my brand is on point, and why not get some great tips from you in that process.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, thanks everybody for joining us. If you learned anything today from Kim, the best thing you can do to retain that information is to share it with a friend. So I encourage everybody to pull out one or two great ninja tips that Kim shared and share that with somebody you know and love in the business world. And then if you loved our podcast, please share our show with other people as well, because the more listeners we have, the better chances we have to keep getting amazing guests like Kim. But thank you so much, Kim, for joining us today.
Oh, thank you, Christy. This has been so much fun. I love chatting with you.
Absolutely. You too. So thanks, everybody. We will see you on the next episode. Bye-bye for now.
Thanks for listening to the Overcoming Mediocrity podcast, where we believe that everyone can have the business and life of their dreams once they've learned the art of mastering their story. Mastering our stories is the key to everything we want in life. Our stories can either hold us back or they can propel us to new heights. We can choose. You can choose. Choose to overcome mediocrity with us. Let's achieve greatness together. To learn more, visit www.overcomingmediocrity.org. And don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review this podcast.